Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the Fossil CH2565 chronograph. Let's start out with the wrist check. We're on a Pagani Design PD 1681, and Grogu's wearing my Smil 1711. Grogu said that Miggs Mayfield told him a story about when he was still in the Imperial Army. He was stationed at the wet and stormy planet of Donovia, and Governor Tarkin paid them a visit. As soon as he stepped off of the shuttle, a drunk stormtrooper driving a cart wasn't looking where he was going, and the Grand Moff got run over in his rain gear. Alright, let's take a look at the watch. Being a Fossil, it comes in these metal containers. And then once again, it says, "You're going to love your Fossil." And here's the watch. I played all the Uncharted video games, and Nathan Drake always wore his watches on a Bun Strap. A really huge one in the first game, about the size of one of Wonder Woman's bulletproof bracelets, but a little bit more subtle in the many sequels. So when they came out with the recent movie, this Fossil is the watch that Tom Holland wears while playing Nathan Drake. You can argue about whether or not babyface Holland was a good choice for Nathan Drake or not, but I think they nailed the watch. This looks like a watch that Nathan Drake would wear. Too bad the movie was mostly forgettable. There are two other colorways. There's a black dial with black subdials, and there's a light blue dial with matching subdials with a black leather bun strap. The watch is 44.1 millimeters wide, 51.8 millimeters lug to lug, 12.4 millimeters thick if you don't count the strap, 14.7 millimeters if you do, has a 22 millimeter lug width, and weighs 92 grams on the supplied leather bun strap. The bezel is plastic, but it goes underneath the case for most of the part, so you only see the top and the bottom of the bezel. There's a triangle at the 12 and a 30 at the 6. And there's also minute markers on the case. They're engraved there, the 20, the 10, and the 40 and the 50. The tachymeter is on an inner shroud that is brown and simulated wood grain. The dial is a metallic color with a nice sunburst effect, and a pattern that looks kind of like little slices in the dial. Fossil is written on top. There are unloomed baton indices painted on with a double at the 12. Lume pencil minute hand. An hour hand with an arrow tip second hand. Has a frame date window at the 4:30. The second hand misses all the marks, but I don't think it's because the second hand is misaligned. I think it's because the dial is misaligned. Because if you look at there, the triangle at the bezel looks like it's aligned up between the case there, but it looks like the 12 o'clock is to the left of the triangle. And so I have a feeling that if the dial was lined up, then the second hand would probably hit the marks better. We have the 3 subdials with more faux wood grain and black borders. Lume subdial hands, but not near as loomed as the main hands. The right subdial is a 24-hour indicator, which as far as I'm concerned is a waste of a subdial. If you're going to have a quartz chronograph, you should always have, instead of a 24-hour indicator, you should have a 1/10 of a second indicator. The bottom is the chronograph second hand, thus making the tachymeter useless. And the left is the chronograph minute counter that only goes to 30. Has a unsigned push-pull crown. It's nice and big and easy to use. Even though it's not a screw down, we still have 100 meters of water resistance. The pushers look like they're screw down, but they're not. These little grips there are for show, but they're not part of the pusher. Because look, when I push the pusher, they go in between the grips there. So the grips are just there for show, but you don't push them down when you press the pusher. It has a flat mineral glass crystal. You're not going to get sapphire on a Fossil like this. Has a brushed solid steel case with polished sides. See the tops there, that's brushed and it's polished. It's also brushed between the lugs. The screw down case back is all polished. It says all stainless steel, 10 ATM, gives the model number, and then it says Fossil. As you can see too, it's a screw down. I didn't see any little pry marks or anything like that, so it's a true screw down, plus you get 100 meters water resistance, so you're not going to get that with a press on. This is the second version of this review. When I first reviewed it, I had assumed that the movement was a Chinese-made quartz movement because the Fossil website just said quartz, and usually when you just say quartz with no mention of the word Japanese, it's a Chinese-made movement. But one of my viewers pointed out that it's a JS26 Miyota, and so I opened the case back, and sure enough, it is indeed a Japanese-made Miyota JS26. But I really wish they would have used a VK63 with the big second hand as the chronograph hand and a ticking second hand down on the bottom. The bun strap is the highlight of the watch. Nice genuine leather, really well made. Has a nice feel to it. Doesn't need a good break-in period or anything like that. Nice, good stitching. The rivets at the foldovers, and then really nice engraved name and logo. Gives the model number 2 on the strap. And then also another nice feature, it has quick release. So, because the nice thing about this, because even though if you're not going to change the strap, because the strap's so good, you can still take the watch off if you need to change the battery or anything easily. Because obviously you can't take the case back off while it's on this bun strap. And then it has this nice buckle. It's signed, sturdy. The prong isn't all floppy. Of course, so if I was to keep this, even though the buckle's nice, I'd put it on a deployment clasp because it's just going to make this nice strap last longer. And then it has this one floating keeper. I'd rather have one floating keeper than one fixed keeper because then you don't have to bend it so much when you use it. Yeah, I really like this strap. Here's the watch at my 7.5-inch wrist. As you can see, it looks nice, wears nice. It's chunky because of the bun strap, but it's still, because of the bun strap, the chunkiness isn't quite as noticeable. Then as you can see, I only have 3 notches left. So on my 7.5-inch wrist, you'll probably be able to do 8 1/4. If you have bigger than 8 1/4, there is some room to punch a few more holes in it. So you could probably do that. So you could probably pull this off if you have an 8 1/2 if you're willing to punch a hole in it. But yeah, I really like the looks of this watch. Here we are in the Lume room. While wearing the watch, I always noticed a pretty good glow when walking into a dark room. So I have a feeling this test is going to be pretty good. As we speed up the time, we see that the subdial lume is barely there and fades almost immediately. But the hand lume is doing much better. I wouldn't call this awesome lume, but would rank it as pretty good. What do I like about this watch? Well, I like this great leather bun strap. It's awesome. And I like the overall looks of the watch. It just has a really good look. I like this cool dial, this metallic dial with the good sunburst. And it really looks like a watch that Nathan Drake would wear. What are my gripes and groans? Fake screw down pushers. The chronograph second hand is in a subdial that makes the tachymeter useless. And the dial is misaligned just a little bit. Do I recommend this watch? If this watch had a better movement, such as the VK63, I would shout from the mountaintop to get this watch. However, since this watch looks so good, I can most definitely forgive the cheap JS26 movement and useless tachymeter. You might not feel like Nathan Drake, but at least you'll feel like Tom Holland pretending to be Nathan Drake while wearing this watch. Well, thank you for watching my review of the Fossil CH2565 chronograph, and I will be back with another review. More than likely that Pagani design I'm wearing, either that or the Smil Grogu's wearing. Be sure and like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.